Hello, podcast listeners. We know podcasts are a great way to catch up on a program that you may have missed on KSJE, and it's provided as a free service of this radio station. But you know, KSJE is now listener supported, and so while you enjoy this podcast, we hope that you'll also take some time to join KSJE. Become a member today. It's quite easy to do. Just go to our website at ksje.com/support and pick the level of support that best matches your budget. Thanks again for listening. Here's your podcast. This program is supported by MyLabs, patient-ordered testing. San Juan Regional Medical Center is expanding its services to offer low-cost blood screenings year-round. Now offering walk-in convenience to get the blood tests you want when you want them. MyLabs, patient-ordered testing, is available at the hospital's laboratory and the Outpatient Diagnostic Center on 30th Street in Farmington. With nearly 20 tests available, there's an option for everyone. MyLabs, patient-ordered testing, a wellness service of San Juan Regional Medical Center. Well, now let me turn to my guest who's here in the studio with me this morning. It's always great to have him here, Farmington Mayor Nate Duckett. Mayor Duckett, good morning.
Good morning, Scott. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Fantastic.
It's good to have you here.
Well, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
On a Friday morning.
Especially on a Friday morning.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But you've got a golf date later on this morning, so that's a perfect Friday for a lot of people, right?
It is a good Friday when you get to go out and support charity and play 18 holes, so
right.
It's going to be good.
That's excellent. And this is a charity for a golf tournament for whom?
It's going to be actually the golf tournament today where all the money is going towards Grace Morrissey.
Nice.
So for folks who know Adam Morrissey from Strike Zone, Grace's daughter is actually having surgery today up in Denver, so our thoughts and prayers are with them right now. It's one of those special moments of the year where we get to go out and get to raise a lot of money for a special organization, a special child here in town, and today it's Grace.
Very good. All right. Well, good luck with your swing. I hope it goes long and straight.
I'm hoping that my partners bring their A game today.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is interesting because I'm playing with Chief Hebby, Councilman Scher, and Bob Tyler, who's the husband of our Deputy Chief, Jessica Tyler. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I know any of them have good golf skills, but good luck to you in that foursome. I don't know, but we'll have to see. Report back and let us know how you did.
Absolutely.
So that'll be great. But there's been a lot of things going on, and one thing I want to say to you is that you've had the job now for about 6 months, right?
Yeah.
Mayor of Farmington, and I think it fits you well.
Well, thank you,
Mayor Duckett.
I appreciate that. It's quite a compliment.
I think it does because we've seen a lot of things, and our community is still facing a lot of challenges, and I don't think you've been scared to confront some of those things. And for someone to promote a tax increase, it takes a lot of, I don't know what, but you got it, and you got it passed unanimously. And I think that deserves some congratulations because there's some specific things that you want to see done with this money, and I think it can really help the community, and this community is at kind of a turning point in its history.
I agree, and I think that's why this moment in time is of the essence and the importance and the urgency that this council has also agreed upon that we need to put forward. But I think the more important component here is it's the community who is asking, what are we going to do? And there's so many ideas that flood in from organizations and people saying, have we tried this and why aren't we doing this? And it all came down to the fact that we didn't have any money to do any of those things.
Right.
And from my history here on the city council for the last 4 years and seeing how the city operates, it operates lean and mean. I mean, there was a 20% decline in 2009. We talk about this all the time. And jobs were cut and expenses were cut and things were deferred down the road for replacement repairs. And it finally hit a point to where you're going to facilities here in our city. You're looking at how the operation is and you're saying, we've got to do something. But it's not just about funding city. It's about funding a future for Farmington. And anything we do in regards to the tax increase that you just mentioned, that 0.25% is going into a fund that we're calling the CTED Fund, Community Transformation and Economic Diversification. Those projects that'll be vetted out by council are going to be designed for catalytic type growth in public-private partnerships to keep people coming here.
And that's,
I guess, that's the key.
Right, and I was going to say that is the key with this whole tax increase. It's not just throwing money at issues, problems, projects, whatever. The council is going to be looking at it and say, what's the greater good if we spend X amount of dollars on this? Is there a private-public partnership? Is there a private entity that wants to partner with us to do this XYZ thing? And is it going to help us economically in the future?
That's the key. How is it going to economically help us? Because there's a lot of things that are very broad when it comes to economic diversification. And it can be something as simple or as broad as Farmington Lake recreation amenities. We want to put the utilities in there and water, sewer, electric, so that somebody could come in and open up a restaurant or some other business that has to deal with lake functions. We have gone out and we've started negotiating contracts for aerial adventures at Farmington Lake, which is zip lining. So we're looking at an anchor type activity that's going to continue to bring people from all over the Four Corners year round. And when you come out and you go zip lining or do the other things at the lake, then you're going to go to the restaurants or you're going to stay the night. And when it comes summertime next year and we've got the water park open, well, geez, now I can plan out a whole weekend of fun for my family outdoors here in the city of Farmington.
And that's what you've been talking about, what the Convention and Visitors Bureau has been talking about,
Man.
all these things, and the whole outdoor recreation industry initiative
Sure.
is part of as well as all of this outdoor stuff that we are, I think, uniquely qualified to present to people because of our climate, because of our landscape, because of all the things that we enjoy about living here.
Yeah. You know, hats off to the CVB and to Tanya Stinson and her staff and Jim Glover and Mary Ann Tenenbaum with Once a Day Marketing. They were really the catalyst that started this branding initiative and asking the community, who do we want to be? There was an identity crisis in my mind, and it still exists out there right now. Who do we want to be? And all the information they got back from the public said, look, we should be an outdoor recreation mecca. This should be a place where people who love to do hiking, biking, off-roading, camping, fishing, boating, whatever. This is where you can do it. And on top of that, you have all the multicultural opportunities here, all the cultural amenities that we have in Chaco Canyon, Mesa Verde. I mean, everything that exists from here, Aztec ruins. These are World Heritage Sites. And we don't talk about those enough. So the CVB 4 years ago started this operation. We have pushed it through to where now it's got arms coming off of it with Ori and different things. And the city of Farmington is going to be the first city in the state of New Mexico that has actually created an outdoor recreation industry initiative department. And we've moved our Parks and Rec and Cultural Affairs Director, Corey Styron, into that role because his ideas and his passion for outdoors has really shown his strengths and his value to the city of Farmington. And we're super excited about it. As you can tell.
I can tell
Yeah.
from watching your face as you talk about this. You're very excited about it, Mayor Duckett. We have a message for you from Bernalillo, New Mexico, that you are a really good guide to help Farmington prosper.
Well, thank you.
How's that?
That's a great
You
compliment.
know, see?
Yeah.
So there you go. But it's not without hard work. And I think a lot of folks would probably say, but, you know, our bread and butter has really been oil and gas and extractive industries for so many years. They've done a lot for this community. We're not abandoning those industries while we try to look at diversifying, correct?
Well, of course not. And the part that the city of Farmington plays in the oil and gas play in the area, we really want to be the centerpiece for where they locate their offices, where their employees live. And that's what draws people to this area. So if your operation is in San Juan County, obviously we want you to live and play inside the city of Farmington. So of course it doesn't change any of our dedication to the fact that energy makes our city great, it makes our region great, it makes our state and nation great. That is a centerpiece of who we are. But we have to be attractive and competitive now with cities all across the western United States that are bringing these companies in. And it's the employees who drive a lot more of that than the companies, because the employees decide where they want to be. We want them to be here, and we want to create that environment that says, look, I can't wait to go back to Farmington. And to that point, for those individuals who have worked here, whether they worked for ConocoPhillips or some of these other players that have left the area, there's going to be a time that they have to retire. And we want this to be a place that they think about when they say, man, where would be a great place to go back to? Where can we live and enjoy the last years of our lives? Right here, man. 300 days of sunshine, big city type amenities. We share this economy with Durango. We've got such a beautiful region. There's no better place than Four Corners, USA, in my mind.
Especially if they're having to deal with traffic in Houston for a few years or Tulsa or something, right?
For 5 to 10 minutes of a commute, you can get anywhere you want in the city. I mean, I think that's a really important thing. I saw an article the other day that talked about commutes just keep getting longer and longer and longer. And you're going to start seeing this drawback in my mind of people saying, where else can I go and what else can I do there? And we need to have those opportunities and that quality of life for them.
And when we talk about the energy industry, it's not that it's not a big player still in this region, but it is changing just like everything else is changing. And that is why I think the city is looking at other ways to diversify and not just put all the eggs in one proverbial basket.
Well, I mean, if you walk into the School of Energy right now and you look up in the ceiling with all the banners of all the companies who helped build that place, they're gone. They're not even here anymore, or they've changed, they've been bought out. And the fact of the matter is that technology that goes into extracting energy out of the ground is also improving, which means there's less manpower, less jobs associated with doing what they used to do before. So yes, I think it's just an environment of what change is bringing to all industries, and we need to set ourselves up in a position where we can take advantage of the other strengths that we haven't done well in promoting, and make that a centerpiece of who we are. I think I've used centerpiece now 3 times.
That's okay.
We got to find another word.
It's an important word, and it's an important centerpiece of what you're talking about, Mayor Duckett. So there you are. Now you got me doing it.
Yeah.
But on that point, let's talk a little bit about the power plant, because I know that's a big concern for a lot of folks. We had Kim Carpenter, the San Juan County CEO, was here yesterday. Very concerned, certainly, about the future of that plant. If P&M is really going to get out of the coal-fired energy business, then that means that plant is going to be empty. And the future is, what if it closes? What if we get another operator? What if all these unknowns, I guess, right? Because we don't know what's going to happen, except that we seem to know that P&M wants out. That's the only thing we do know.
Well, that's that's absolutely the foundation of why we are right now confronting their assumptions that they put out in their IRP that's going to the PRC.
Right.
How many of these can we use? And making the statement to say, look, you've made a commitment that this plant was going to stay open past 2035, and you've turned around and said otherwise. But the reasons that you're saying that is because you want to save customers money, and that's simply not true. And that's just a small component of that. But the fact, all you have to do is look at what's going on in California right now, and over the last, I don't know, I think we're looking at the last 11 years, a study that we looked at the other day, their energy prices have increased 5-fold. I mean, they're up there over 20 cents per megawatt hour, where we're sitting at 9 cents per megawatt hour. So we're looking at this from a standpoint to say, look, state of New Mexico, look at P&M customers. This isn't going to be a good thing for you. And New Mexico, in and of itself, is facing the same things we're facing here locally. Energy is driving the base foundation of the economy. When we have $1.2 billion in Santa Fe surplus, well, there's a reason for that, and it's because the southern part of the state is blowing up with oil and gas development.
Right.
So when oil and gas does well, the state's going to do well. And if we don't look at coal as another component of that, look, I get it. People don't like it. It's dirty. It burns bad. I understand those things, but it's what we have. And there's nowhere else right now, or no other industries that we're really pushing that the state is helping us with, that are going to replace those jobs. And that's what it comes down to. 1,500 jobs lost would kill Rio Rancho if Intel shut down. I've been using that example.
Right.
If Intel pulled out and said, we're no longer want to be here, sorry, Rio Rancho, Rio Rancho is going to struggle. And they're going to have to find new things that they need to do. We're in that same boat, or we're in that boat trying to figure out what that is. And I think we've found it. I think we've found a lot of those things that are going to drive this economy for years and years to come. And we got to continue to open our arms to those here in the Four Corners region, Durango and Cortez and Pagosa Springs and Arizona and the reservation. I mean, we have to find that key that says, look, Farmington is a place where you need to come. We want you here. So
that's important.
Keep working it.
But as far as P&M goes, they, as you mentioned, they want out. The issue seems to be the ratepayers. How are they going to be? Are they going to be stuck with some of these costs? The jobs, of course, the real people who are affected by these decisions across the state, and what that means to the economy here. A lot of folks are concerned about the tax base. If you have a hulking, empty shell of a plant out there that's not producing any energy, or maybe if it could be someone else could come in and take it over. Who knows? But that's still a possibility, I suppose.
Well, that's definitely an angle that's being worked right now, and we're trying to get P&M to be in a partnership with us as we go through that process. But all these things are being negotiated. Right. But let's be very honest about it. This is a giant cliff that we're looking at. And I don't know what's going to happen with it, but the odds aren't on our side. So we can't wait around to see what's going to happen before we start doing something now. And that's kind of been the point of the timeliness, in my mind, of this council and certainly my mayorship, and the synergy that we find in the county, at the college, the hospital, all the players in this game to say, look, we see that what's coming ahead. We don't know how that's going to turn out, but we can't wait.
And that's, I think, what a lot of folks are watching and appreciative of, the city taking some action, which is what this CTED fund is all about.
That's right.
To use your term.
Yeah.
So
that's exactly right.
Mayor Duckett, let's take a short break.
Yes, sir.
All right. It's around 8:30, so we're going to take a short break. My guest, Mayor Nate Duckett, is here from the city of Farmington. We're going to take a short break, everybody. Thank you for your comments on Facebook. You can keep commenting here when we come back with part 2 in just a moment, right here on KSJE. The time is, as I mentioned, 8:30. KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center, your community hospital with a rich heritage that dates back to before New Mexico was a state. We've been improving the health of the Four Corners since 1910. As a nonprofit hospital, San Juan Regional Medical Center is a values-driven organization. We strive to deliver on our mission to personalize health care and create vitality and enthusiasm in healing. We are here for you when you need us, offering a comprehensive range of inpatient, outpatient, and emergency care services. As I mentioned, Farmington Mayor Nate Duckett is my guest this morning. Mayor Duckett, once again, good morning. Thanks for being here.
Yes, sir.
It's good to have you here.
Well, I'm excited as always.
Well, good. And you're experiencing the whole visual radio thing this morning, right?
How
about that?
Can we just rave on this for a minute?
Well, I don't know. We don't have to rave on it, but
I was just hoping that we'd have some people out here. Like
I'm sorry your fan club is not out in the hallway. Yeah.
We love Micklin. We love Micklin.
Right. We kind of have an empty hall that we can show people right now, but I imagine the crowds are gathering outside, perhaps around your car or something.
Hope not.
Mayor Duckett, but we'll see. But thank you. We're very excited about this, and we think it's something. Glad that KSJE can provide this to the community, and I think it's something the community deserves. And we're glad to be able to do it with the support of folks like yourself and local businesses and other individuals who support this radio station. San Juan College, of course. So that's what we've been able to do.
It is a huge upgrade,
isn't it? Right?
It really is, to be able to put the visual component to it. Man. So worldwide now,
we're excited, and on the internet apparently it's not just a little fad. It's going to be here for a while,
right?
So
so is rap music, but that's still around too.
It is still around. That's true. But anyway, it's good to have you here.
Yes,
and
sir.
We want to talk a little bit about the drought, because that's still here too.
It sure is,
and not in a good way. The weather forecast just showed us that we're not going to get any more precipitation. What we got yesterday is probably what we're going to get for a while.
It's not. Yeah, the precipitation, and I just hope the future for snow is better than what precipitation has been as we come into these later months of the year. So,
right.
But we've talked about this before. Lake Mead, Lake Powell's way down. The Colorado River's way down. Last night they released additional water from the Navajo Reservoir to increase the flow through the San Juan River.
Right.
And so it's not gotten any better yet. So we're still in stage 2. We've never gone to stage 3. And which is nice, because we definitely didn't want to put any of those surcharges on anybody's bill.
Right.
But we still ask for people to be diligent in making sure that they're only watering the 3 days a week, and they're still doing the things inside their home. And it's easy. I think it's easy to kind of get lazy on some of the stuff. I know I have a little bit. We were very rigorous at the beginning of the summer and doing little things. My wife, God bless her, she's still very rigorous, so I've got to follow her lead now. But yeah, making sure we're doing all we can to get to that 15% decrease, which we're really close to. So
right, and we're showing the stage 2 kind of graphic here, the water tip, and basically the other concerning thing is the stream flows in the Animas River. And you were at the park last night, I think, and saw just how little water there is.
You can walk right across the Animas River right now. And what's interesting is to see how much vegetation is growing up out of the river bed.
In the river, yeah.
Yeah, you're like, there's trees growing in the middle of the river now.
Okay, interesting. But yeah. But that is just what we see, and for this time of year, that's usually not what we see. Which is
usually not that
concern.
low.
Yeah,
that's certainly not that low. So we've actually been able to manage the lake, and how much we've been pumping into the lake from the river throughout this whole summer, and it's stayed in the mid-90s.
Right.
Even as the summer has waned on. So that's a positive thing, and that's something we were hopeful for. But we still have the opportunity with Lake Nighthorse, and there is a release planned for our Lake Nighthorse to release water down for us to see how that process works. Right.
We're showing the water conservation report. This is on the city's website, by the way, everybody. You can always take a look at this and see how we are doing as city residents. The target is about, 14.7 million gallon day average, and I think we came in at about 15.8, so we're a little bit over that.
About 1.1 million gallons a day over for the last, 15 days?
I think so.
Something like that. So, or 30-day rolling average.
That's what it is. Okay, for a month or so. But anyway, everyone can look at that and take a look. And this issue you mentioned about Lake Nighthorse, I think, is interesting, because this is the new reservoir that's been opened and built near Durango, but the city of Farmington and the San Juan Water Commission does have rights to some of that stored water.
Nation,
right?
Yeah, there's a lot of entities that have built into that program, the Animas La Plata project.
These entities help pay for it, so they get the results and the benefits, hopefully.
Yeah. And one of the things we're looking at with this CTED fund is also the opportunity of expanding our capacity at Farmington Lake. And that has multiple reasons for that. One, of course, is that more water that we store, the safer we are in times of drought or times of toxic river waste flowing from mines in Colorado.
Which we've seen, unfortunately. That's right.
Could you imagine if both things happen at the same time? So those are things we have to take into consideration, but also the recreation component. When there's more water in the lake, it provides more recreational opportunities. Because right now, if we drop to 95% of capacity in the lake, we have to pull all the wonderful widgets that we have out there, wibbits that we have in the beach area. We actually have to pull those out because the water's too low and they have to be
causes other issues, I suppose.
Causes other issues. So, so the possibility there, we're looking at the engineering studies to see if there is a potential to expand. You know, if you only raised it by 5 feet, what would that do? But certainly, we wouldn't do anything that would ever threaten the integrity of the dam. So
but I guess there's things that can be done. But again, because you now have this dedicated source of revenue coming in for projects like this, you can have these conversations.
That's right.
Whereas before this, it was a non-starter basically. It'd be nice to have.
For recreational things, yeah,
we can't afford it.
Starter.
Yeah.
Or we couldn't afford it. That's exactly right.
And I know there's a lot of things. So that's I think it's very exciting. And again, as I mentioned in the first part of the program, you know, there are a lot of other communities that probably faced an uncertain future or challenges like the city of Farmington is now facing, and they maybe decided to just sit back and not do anything or not be proactive. And that's where I think the difference lies, is that this is a city that is taken control of its future and trying to control the things that it can control, because there are a lot of things that we've been talking about that we cannot control.
Yeah. You know, I've thought long and hard about those cities that have made those decisions, because I think we drive by them sometimes and you're like, what used to be here?
Right.
And I was determined that that's not going to be the case for my city. And that momentum, that push on me really came from the people who are engaged and are working on behalf of the people of Farmington every single day. Within whatever organization or whatever group that they're working for, I'm always amazed at the passion that exists here with the folks that are surrounding me and telling me we've got to push forward. And look, we have so many good things going for us, even in the midst of what lies ahead and in the changing environment in oil and gas. We have so many good things going for us. And I'm a big proponent of the idea that you got to build on your strengths and you got to minimize your weaknesses so that they overshadow those things that could be long-term pain for you. So how do we overcome that? Well, it starts with attitude. And every day, if we wake up with the right attitude and we approach life in a way that says today's going to be the best day, well, I have to have that same idea if I'm going to lead this city. And that's exactly what I believe in. So,
but it's a touchy situation sometimes, because the city can only do so much.
Right.
It can't do everything.
Well, we don't
can't
want
say
government doing everything.
Mayor Duckett, build me a new radio station, and the city can't really build me a new radio station.
No.
We built it ourselves. We need to do that on our own. But the city can make conditions maybe that would be beneficial for a radio station or beneficial for a business to move into town, to open up on Main Street and do some improvements to Main Street to allow folks to come down and enjoy a downtown Farmington.
I'm glad that you point that out. I get a number of letters from some of our younger citizens here in high school, and it's amazing how many of them want us to build business. That's what they want city to do, because they don't know. That's not what government's designed to do.
Come on, build an old Navy,
well,
Mayor Duckett. Why can't you do that?
Right. A lot of people would even question whether or not what we're doing is what government should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is that really what we want? Is the government to market us and to provide? Well, you know what? That's what other cities are doing right now in order to attract people to their area, in order to attract business to their area. That's what they're having to do. When I came in here today, the first thing I saw as I walked in was the seal of Farmington. What's interesting about that to me is that's our marketing. That's what we use for marketing. So Scott Micklin's show today, it shows the seal of Farmington, which is a 50-year-old emblem, or maybe it's not that old, I don't know.
Right.
But it's certainly, if I go to conferences or if I'm going to the outdoor recreation industry meetings and symposiums and those things, that emblem is what we're using right now to say we're from the city of Farmington. That's not who we are, though. I mean, it's who we are, but we want to market us. We want Farmington to shout out that Jolt Your Journey and where outdoor lovers thrive, and those are the things that we want to be saying to people when we go outward and we start being an ambassador for our city. So we've got to get away from that mentality. In my mind, we have to flip this and say, look, if we want to survive, if we want to thrive, we're going to have to invest some money into ourselves and into the city, and we're going to have to get rid of blight. And we're going to have to work on some of these projects that we've been talking about for 20 years in order to get this done. So Yeah.
Well, and that's what we're doing. I mean,
you
that's
can
what
certainly
you're
argue
doing.
another way for it, but
Right. But
I
we
think-
have, we're about to embark, the city is about to embark on a major downtown revitalization project, which has a lot of infrastructure improvements that maybe is not as visible to the public as
Right.
would be the street changes that are coming to
Anything
Main
underground
Street
never
downtown.
gets seen, yeah.
Right. But it's part of this project, right?
Absolutely.
Utility improvements and things like that. And then, of course, there's the improvements at Brookside Park with Brookside Bay.
Yep.
And the big water park that will be open by next summer is the plan, I think.
June 1st, still the goal, and you can see right now as you drive by it, the
They're
pools
moving
are
a lot of
taking
dirt,
form.
man.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
beautiful.
So
Very excited about that.
and this project and the downtown project, I think, are all being undertaken with this kind of greater goal in mind of the marketing of the city of Farmington, the attractions of visitors, outdoor lovers thrive, making downtown a thriving place and multimodal for people who are driving, who are biking, who are walking. All this is part of this ongoing investment of public money.
I'm going to use the hot phrase right now, and that's placemaking. We're focused on placemaking. If I come here from anywhere, if I just live here, being able to go to places where I feel like there's something for me to do or my kids to do or my parents to do, I mean, that provides a place of home. So when we consider what we're with let's just kind of step back for a minute. Lake Farmington, river trails, bike paths that go across the city that allow us to connect intermodally using bikes, using pathways for walking. If I could leave my house up on Foothills Drive and take my bike down and cross Main Street to get into a river trail on that end of town and ride my bike all the way to the hospital, and that's where I choose to work, I mean, that's all going to be connected. You're going to be able to take that path and hit every point in the city from these trails that we're going to create. That to me is improving the quality of life and the health of our city and promotes us on a different level than we've ever been promoted before. I mean, let's face it, in 1950 when we zoned the river trail, we gave it to industry. Nobody had the foresight then to say, man, this is going to be a hot commodity for us.
Right.
We really have to do something with this river trail or river property.
Sure.
And instead they chose otherwise.
But
now
it was
we're at
a
the retrofit.
It was a railroad right of way in a lot of parts
In a lot
of it
of parts
too.
it is. You're right.
And
It
so
absolutely is.
that was just the way that it was used back then because
right.
it was flat and available and there you go. But it just shows how things have changed in the course of 50 years.
Yeah.
And for a lot of folks who are maybe watching us and listening to us this morning, it's also different to say, there are a lot of folks maybe who don't get up for work in the morning, get in their car and drive to work, but they get on their bike and bike to work, or they want to go on a 20-mile bike ride and they don't want to have to deal with traffic or things like that. That is part of the new economy, I suppose, and the new recreation, I suppose.
We see it all over. Certainly you go to Denver, go to these places in Colorado, go to Ogden, Utah, and that's exactly what people are doing. And
I would even say Durango, Colorado.
I was going to move there. Of course, I was going to use Durango as well.
Right.
And they've been doing it for so long
Yeah,
that it's
sure.
just become a part of who they are. It's their culture. And even in conversations we have with outdoor recreation enthusiasts, there's a component of the mountain bikers here in our area who say, you guys only care about off-roading. And Durango, of course, has that niche. They have that mountain bike niche. Well, why? Well, because they've had the paths there for a long time. So why has our niche been off-roading? Well, because we have the Glade Run Recreation Area that is filled with dirt bike tracks and four-wheeler tracks, and that's helped develop that. So
Right.
it's just it's an interesting component, but we share that with Durango, and that's what we have to promote more. Is look, it's not us versus them. It's we together that are in this. And when I want a mountain bike, I can go to both places. Which, by the way, we have some amazing mountain bike trails, and
We do.
and we're
Yeah.
improving those as we speak. So
And I think a lot of another component of this is signage, right?
Glad you brought that
Is
up,
helping to let folks know who live here, but also who are visiting here, how to get to these places, because some of it's the
somebody
best
already
kept
talked to you about
secrets in town. No, no, but I know that's on the list, right?
It's the first thing on the list. Let's just to be completely honest. I mean, how can anybody promote Farmington if they don't know what exists here? And so we do have a sign package that has gone to the CVB, who's a partner with us in this project. Their board approved it unanimously this week. It's going to come before council, but it's going to be it's placemaking signs or wayfinding signs. So when I come into town from, let's say I'm coming in from the Aztec side, I'm going to see a sign that shows me all the recreational, cultural things that lie ahead. So it's going to have a mountain bike emblem on it. It's going to have off-roading emblem on it. It's going to have a baseball player on it, a golfer, a disc golfer, a
Sure.
cultural sign for Lions. And as I travel up Pinion Hills, it will slowly take me to those places of interest. And so now if I'm sitting at a restaurant and I'm a waiter and somebody says, what's there to do to Farmington? I can envision in my mind those signs that I see, man, there's a lot to do here. I don't have to just send people north of the border to have a good time. I know what we can do here, and I can tell you about it.
Right.
So I'm excited about the sign. I think the signage program is going to be awesome.
And when they tell us, then the visitors can go out and follow the signs to get to where they're talking about.
Absolutely.
And
it's
find
easy,
these
and
places.
It's going to be easy.
Right.
It's going to be easy. And we have to do that same thing in the Glade. We have to do the same thing on our mountain bike trails. If we want to say that we have world-class off-road trails, but somebody says, well, how do I get to this trail called Arch Rock? There's no, well, you go out there and you're going to hang
after
a
the
left.
third rock.
Yeah, you're going to hang a left over, and hopefully there's this little sign off of this one trail. This is Arch Rock. We can't do that. If I put a GoPro on my Razor, which I don't have anymore, unfortunately, but if I put a GoPro on a Razor and I go out there and I put that on YouTube, and that somebody says, oh, I want to go see that. Well, we have one guy here in town that's renting Razors. We have a bunch of people who could help you find it, but they're not in business to help you find it. So there's still a gap that exists in that realm where we're trying to promote outdoor industry and tourism, and we need people to see the opportunity in filling that gap.
And that's the Ori Outdoor Recreation Industry Initiative.
Right.
Right.
Well, and that's in the business component of bringing industry, outfitters and rental companies and guides. I mean, that's what we really need to start pushing that area the way it needs to be pushed.
And we've seen some of that already this summer, actually, with some of the rentals that were taking place down at the river. You can rent a bike, you can rent a raft, you can do all kinds of things, and where you couldn't before. And this has been another city private-public partnership to allow maybe a private business in the city park to do this, so people don't have to rent a raft on the other side of town and then schlep it over to the river and put it in.
Darren and Cameron, I want to say it's Animas River Explorers. They put themselves out there this year, and they said, we're going to take the leap and we're going to try this out, and they did it in the year of drought, which unfortunately hurts their tube rentals. But the community, I would ask the community to go out and take advantage of these companies that are opening up, and get your kids and get your parents and get yourself out there and see the opportunities that exist. They're not going to thrive if we don't support them in our own way. So.
Good advice. That's true. Even in the off season, which is kind of where we are these days, right? And they're still open and functioning
on the weekends.
So so that's good. Before we run out of time, Mayor Duckett, I do want to ask you about another issue that the city faces, and that is shelter. Winter's coming. We've had the city has been working with the Salvation Army, I think, in the past to open up the roof shelter during the winter months, and that is still the plan for this winter. There are maybe some changes being discussed.
We're a community that cares. We want to make sure that people, regardless of where they're at in their lives, they're not left on the street, they're not left cold. We don't find them in the morning in an unfortunate situation. So the roof remains open. We're looking at moving the roof, but it won't be immediately at the beginning of this cold season. And the idea here is that the campus mentality of care that we've talked about for 10, 15 years, I'm not sure how long this goes back, but moving and locating those types of services out to where the TOTA Behavioral Health is, where our Joint Intervention Program and Sobering Center is. So utilizing that facility and that campus for those things.
Got you. But that's kind of maybe the long-range plan for that shelter.
Correct.
To have it out at that area where there's access to other services right nearby.
Right nearby.
And that's the point.
And here's why. And I don't know if we have a minute to talk about this, but part of this, I did a ride-along last year, and it was during the wintertime, and I went to the Sobering Center, and it was empty. And it was night, and it was cold. And I said, well, how come nobody's here tonight? Well, they said, Chris Carlson told me, well, when the roof opens up, they just go to the roof. So they're not coming through and getting the care and getting the opportunity to talk to them about the potential for treatment and getting themselves better. They just go to the roof. And I said, well, why do we have two things serving the same population when we have, 40 plus beds in this area that we could be helping these folks with? And so I think that helped kind of, I don't want to say that but it's been a part of the plan for a long time.
Right.
So now we move the roof out there. We have the ARU unit, which we talked about, alternative response unit that's staffed by a firefighter and a police officer that can actually assess the medical situation of any down subject. They're the first call for those folks. So then they can go out there, they assess them, they take them to the Sobering Center, they can immediately have them checked in if they are in need of medical or if they're drunk,
right?
Where they're in trouble, and then they can go from the Sobering Center to the roof. And it's a progression that works. So that's our hope.
Interesting. Well, it's another, again, you said this is a community that cares, and I think it does by looking at all the things that the city supports and funds without any expectation of getting that money back. I mean,
the county helps fund JIP,
right?
PMS helps fund JIP,
right?
Mean, there's
the hospital and all those too.
They're all a part of that component.
Sure, but it's still something that the community pulls together to make available
all of those.
For some of our most vulnerable population.
Right.
So there you are, Mayor Duckett. Always a pleasure.
I love it here, Scott. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Come back anytime.
Thank you.
All right, Mayor Nate Duckett, my guest here on KSJE. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Have a great Friday and a great weekend. I'm Scott Micklin. Be back with you at 8 a.m. Monday morning right here on KSJE Farmington. Did you enjoy that podcast? We hope that you did. And if you did, share it with your friends. And if you really want to keep podcasts like this coming, please support KSJE. You can do it easily online at ksje.com.